equality. And there's something very strange that's happened. And I describe it, as you mentioned, in the introduction to The Madness of Crowds. I say it's been like, for me, it's been like watching a train pulling into the destination that you desired for it to be drawing into. And just as you thought it was going to get there, it suddenly got a head of steam, went shooting off down the tracks, off the tracks, and scattering people in its wake. And I think that's the case with each of these issues to do with gay, women, race, and trans. We were getting to or had got to the issue of equality and the position of equality. And then for some people they couldn't cope with equality and they went past equality. This is a really dangerous one. They went past equality to better. And so what we might be in at the moment is
Douglas Murray, thanks for joining us.
It's a great pleasure.
Your latest book, The Madness of Crowds, out now, follows on from best-selling The Strange Death of Europe. That was about immigration and Islam, acclaimed by Michael Gove. Tell us what this piece is about.
The Madness of Crowds is my attempt to explain, I think, take apart and explain what we should do instead of the movement that's called by different names. Sometimes it's called identity politics, sometimes it's called, a very ugly term, intersectionalism. And it's basically the form of thinking, politicking that bases itself around rights issues, almost exclusively around rights issues. And if that sounds sort of abstract, it's not. It's the stuff of everyday's politics in some ways. Issues to do with being gay, issues to do with women, particularly relations between the sexes, issues to do with race, and increasingly issues to do with trans. Some of these, particularly the last one, seemed rather obscure even a few years ago. And they've got right to the heart of the cultural and political wars of our time. And my view is that we are really bad about thinking about these issues, and we're really bad about talking about them, because whole careers and indeed lives get destroyed by saying the wrong thing, thinking the wrong thing, and often thinking something or saying something that absolutely everybody thought or said until yesterday. And I think there's two things that have been going on in particular on each of these things. The first is we pretend to know more than we do know about some of these issues, particularly the trans one. And on others of these issues, we pretend that we don't know things we all knew till the day before yesterday. Relations between the sexes being one very good example. A very, very good way to destroy your career like that is for a man to talk about women.
The analogy you draw in the beginning of your book is a train pulling into a train station.
Yeah, I mean, I should probably say, none of this suggests that there hasn't been discrimination in the past, and that there may not be some discrimination in parts of our society today. I don't deny any of that. What I say, though, is that by any reasonable estimation, in the last 50 years, all of these rights issues have improved unimaginably. And I think have pretty much got to the point that anyone would have wanted them to get to, which was equality. And there's something very strange that's happened. And I describe it, as you mentioned, in the introduction to The Madness of Crowds. I say it's been like, for me, it's been like watching a train pulling into the destination that you desired for it to be drawing into. And just as you thought it was going to get there, it suddenly got a head of steam, went shooting off down the tracks, off the tracks, and scattering people in its wake. And I think that's the case with each of these issues to do with gay, women, race, and trans. We were getting to or had got to the issue of equality and the position of equality. And then for some people they couldn't cope with equality and they went past equality. This is a really dangerous one. They went past equality to better. And so what we might be in at the moment is an overreach on each of these issues. But I want us not to be in an overreach. I just want us to be able to accept and celebrate actual equality on each of these issues and be able to discuss the things that are still going on, which are complex. Like, we pretend to be much more certain about gay is the only card I've got on my side that I can play in my own defense, you know. But we pretend to be a lot more certain about what being gay is than we are. We don't actually know that much about it. We don't know much about how it comes about.
Could you elaborate on that?
Sure. I mean, in the gay rights movement, there was a move to, well, religious people in particular, religious authorities claimed to say that it was a lifestyle choice. And that wasn't true, because, I mean, who would kind of choose to have this extra, you know, problem, certainly when it was illegal, an extra problem in their lives. So the counter to lifestyle choice was to say, no, effectively, gay is the Lady Gaga thing, born this way. We didn't have any choice. Now, I say, and again, I mean, this is a sort of gay heretical thing to say, but we just don't know that much. It may be partly, in fact, since writing my book, a study came out on this that sort of vindicated what I proposed, which is it's probably mainly hardware, but there's a software element to it. And
by that you mean, innate nurture versus something learned.
Yeah, exactly. But it's pretty much agreed there's something to do with developmental issues as well. But we just don't know that much. So one of my suggestions is, let's just not lean this hard on it. Have equal rights, absolutely, but don't do. I mean, what? How can I do it in shorthand? Pride March has, in my own lifetime, turned into Pride Day, Pride Weekend, now Pride Month. My bank, again, maybe I can say this being a gay man, but my bank advertised this year, love happens here, and big rainbow flags happening, you know, everywhere. I don't want love to happen at my bank. I want you to have more people at the tills and at the reception. I want you to not charge me £5 when I lose my back statements and need them again. I don't want you to sort out my sex life or my love life. Thank you very much. But there's this sort of overdoing of everything on these things. And as I say, that's one which we've just got to lean on it a little less heavily. But there's this weaponization of it. And I think that there's also a politicization of each of these issues, which is naked, absolutely naked. You get it in each of the ones I write about. But, I mean, take this as an example,
very interesting that Douglas Murray, brings up these points of, that these equal rights issues are coming up. And he's basically talking about, women's rights. He's talking about, transgender rights. He's talking about gay rights, racial equality rights. And I would basically mention the fact that there's some more that are going to be coming up. They're there. They've been there in the past, but now they seem to be, bubbling up. And they're coming into the course. And I think these are going to take us into the next few decades unless we come up with policies and have politicians that are basically going to stand up and are going to take the will of the people and basically say, okay, what do we do about those? Here's something. What about eco rights? That's something that's going to be climate rights. We're going to talk about religious rights, immigrant rights, border rights, illegal alien rights. All of these are going to be popping up, and they are popping up right now. And the thing is that, when you hear Douglas talking, when he mentioned himself, he said, sort of self-deprecating, but he said the only card he's got to play as being a white male is the gay card. But even that doesn't work for him because he's on the wrong side of the tracks for him. If he was on the left, he could be playing that card all day long. But because he's conservative or basically on the right and being gay, at least in my estimation, when he throws out that card's negated by the fact that he's white. But if he's white and on the left side or the liberal side, whiteness has no issue then. Because then you're part of the crowd basically that's playing the intersectionality card, right? The identity politic game. But Douglas just comes out and says, you know what? We just want to go about our lives because I don't need a Pride Day. I don't need a gay day. I don't need a gay week, Pride Month, Pride Year. I don't need that. I don't need my bank, as he says, okay, to have love in the bank because I just want to make sure that the bank works perfectly fine. All right, gives him my statements. doesn't charge me some excessive fees. I just want that's something everyday people think about. It's not like, and straight people, we don't want straight people going out there, okay, and putting up, straightness and, all that in front of somebody's face and pushing that down everyone's throat. The same way we don't want the LGBTQIA plus MOUSE crowd pushing their stuff in our faces. Guys riding in bicycles all naked with their gonads hanging out, walking down the main street, okay, with kids are there and everything that you've got, just basically flouncing around, bouncing around. 99% of these people aren't even fit anyways. I mean, all this stuff is happening. And the thing is, as he basically put it, is it's not that we got to the point of almost hitting equality, which I think we have. And I agree. There's racism everywhere, folks. It's not as much as it was before, but there's some people that are always going to be racist in society. Within all ethnicities, all shades of colors, whether you're male or female, black or white, brown or red, there's going to be some people that are racist. Some overtly, some covertly. But the bottom line is, and here's the thing that you've got to understand, is that it's just not about being equal. It's about going that further step and saying we're better than you. Equality, fine. But guess what? We want to go better. And just like anything else, we don't know. There's a lot of things that we attribute, that we say we do know about when we really don't. And there's so many things that we do know about 100%, but we don't want to say it because we're afraid. And this whole thing of cancel culture, I think that's starting to fizzle out. It was sizzling for a while, but it's starting to fizzle out because more and more and more people are now coming out and talking and saying their mind, saying their piece, basically going against the so-called orthodoxy of the left. And they're still around. Look at what J.K. Rowling did. She survived. She's still being attacked, but she's surviving. Douglas Murray's attacked all the time. He's surviving. All these people are. We all are, in our own daily way, either being attacked or trying to be silenced by the social media platforms or by other people in the media or other people in society or on the, through academia at university and colleges. But there's so many of us that are out there, so many. Much better. Anyways, folks, we appreciate you taking the time to watch. You've been watching the Dr. Nasir Shaikh Show. I'm your host. My name is Dr. Nasir. If you haven't done so already and you like our content, subscribe to the channel, hit that like, share button. You all know what to do. Take a look at our other videos above and below. Comment if you want. We'd love for you to share what you think about it. My final thought is always, when you're right, you're right. And when you're left, you're wrong. Until next time, folks, take care and stay safe.